What a lot of guys don't understand is women want a competent man. They want a driven man. They want an ambitious man. They want a masculine, strong man. But a lot of guys just don't understand what that looks like because we've been force-fed this strong, independent woman idea for so long. And so for me to kind of decipher what that means is that, look, a woman doesn't want to be told what to do. A woman does not want a man to tell her what to do. A woman does not want to be criticized by a man and told that she's dumb or stupid and that she did something wrong. What a woman wants is for a man to care for her and love her properly. And when she has emotions, women go through lots of emotions, and emotions are not always rational. And there's some women that will admit this, and there's other women that are more the strong, independent woman type that vehemently will tell you it's such an insult to call women less than rational, and this emotional argument, blah, 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 all this kind of bullshit. At the end of the day, from my experience of 40 years on this planet, 41 years, because my wife always makes fun of how old I am, you know, a woman will be very emotional, and the experience for living life as a woman can be very confusing, and there's a lot of emotions to sift through. And so as a man, where men can lead and where women really appreciate a man is being that, you know, I hear this all the time, men being the beach that the waves are kind of lapping or crashing down on. Sometimes the surf is high, a lot of chaos, and sometimes the waves are more subdued. But effectively, you are the foundation. You are a rock in the storm for the woman. And so oftentimes you can always be there as a presence. And when a woman is going through a lot of confusion or a lot of frustration in her life regarding the emotions and not understanding, you know, it takes time. I've seen this. Men and women process emotions differently. Somebody called me out and says, well, men can be very emotional too, and you know, in the comments, and I totally agree with that. I think men struggle with anger a lot, and that's kind of a default, and men substitute anger because they don't have necessarily the more expansive emotional rainbow as women. So a lot of times they just put in anger. So men have their own issues with dealing with emotion. But with a woman, I've seen it where a lot of men can get upset with a woman and say, why aren't you just like, why are you so triggered? Why can't you just talk to me? You know, that was a big part in my first marriage. It's like, why are you still hot about this? Like, why can't we just sit and talk and be like, you know, rational about this? And that's probably the most naive thing a man could say to a woman. Really stupid, actually, now that I'm a bit older, because women are women. Women are going to experience an emotion, and it's like a time release capsule. You don't get to just press fast forward on how fast the woman experiences the emotion. So it takes time, and it's confusing. She's hit with a wave of emotion, and she has to kind of navigate through it. So a lot of times women can support other women in a good way, you know, to kind of bounce ideas off. My wife has kind of talked about going through her divorce and talking to a close friend, and she needed to have a touch point of saying, is this me just being emotional about the situation because I'm triggered and I'm angry? Or is this, you know, legit? Like, what's the right thing to do here? I need somebody else to kind of weigh in. So for me, I feel that that's a significant part of a man's job in a marriage. If you want a healthy and strong marriage, you know, a lot of guys can phone it in. Look, you could have a marriage that looks like any which way you want. But, you know, you can say, oh, my wife, yeah, she can just talk to her mother and talk to her friends, and I'm going to go out with my golf buddies and like whatever. That's our relationship. She handles this shit, I handle this shit, and we meet in the middle. But for me, it's like I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I think emotions are extremely important, and helping a woman sort that out is a big part of a man's job. And if you can do that effectively, I've found that women really respect that. And so in my view, the original point that I was making when I started this video was that men need to step up and stand up to the woman in their lives. And so where that comes from is leading and putting in effort. So women often test men. Women will often say things in a passive-aggressive way or a complaining way, and men might even call it nagging. And a lot of men will roll their eyes, they'll get upset, and they'll say, "Oh my God, my lady's on me again. You know, I'm pissed," and they'll leave. You know, that's for me. That's my first inclination, is to run. I don't want to deal with this bullshit. I want to get the hell out of here. This is like, wait for this to die down, and I don't want to deal with it, right? But what I've found is the best way to deal with a woman when she is giving you a lot of this kind of complaining is to meet it head on, and really move towards it, and realize, oh, she's upset. She's emotional right now. She's giving me this. She's not going to tell me directly what the problem is, and a lot of men will think, oh, well, we need to hold each other to a standard like that. Yeah, I'm not dating a little kid. I'm dating an adult, and she needs to come to me, and she needs to tell me exactly what's wrong with her. And to that I say, good fucking luck with that, buddy. That's not how women operate. How women operate is typically they get upset, and they don't necessarily know exactly what's bothering them. That's what I found too with my wife. We've had this conversation a lot. She doesn't necessarily know what's bothering her, so she can't articulate it. And even if she could, it's hard to bring something to somebody directly. So what comes out of it is passive aggression or a little comment here and there. And for me, as the man, I say, okay, well, we're not going to be passive aggressive in this house. I'm not going to allow myself to be spoken to in that way. So if my wife is speaking to me in a passive aggressive manner, I'm going to get up, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to approach her, and not in a menacing way, but in a clear, hey, I'm addressing this conflict, and I'm going to tell her, hey, look, what's going on? You seem upset. And you can tell her, I don't appreciate being talked to in that way. I feel like you're being passive aggressive with me, and I don't like it. That's how you address those situations. And so many nice guys fall flat on their fucking faces and completely miss the cues, and they just run off with their tail tucked between their legs. They let their wife kind of run roughshod over them, and they just feel like completely trampled on. And why is my wife so mean to me? And it's like, because you're allowing it. You are allowing your wife to be mean to you. And guess what? Here's what my take on it is. Have faith in your wife that she doesn't want to be like that. Have faith in your wife that she wants to love you and she wants a loving relationship. But you know what? You need to stand up and you need to address the situation. So your wife is treating you with passive aggression and disrespect. You get up and you approach her and you say, hey, I don't like how you're talking to me. I really don't appreciate that. You're being passive aggressive, and that's not the vibe that I want in this marriage. Let me tell you, women will respond when you lay down a vision for the value set in the relationship. Because as a man, you're leading, and as a man, you're telling her, these are the values that we have in this house. And certainly those are values that you can discuss and you can be mutually agreed on. But also, as men, I feel like you can come up with these values, and hey, you can throw that down. If she doesn't believe in that, then she'll let you know. But you know what? Somebody has to pick up the ball and run with it. And I think that's where men are meant to be leaders in a relationship. Women lead in all sorts of ways in a relationship, and that's great. Women are extremely hardworking people. But you know what? Men, oftentimes they sitting there with their dick in their hand, they have no fucking clue when to lead. And that's when you lead. So you lead when somebody's crossed the line. You approach them and say, I don't like to be talked to that way. This is not the tone of our relationship that we want in this house. That's not what we're doing here. And then trust me, a woman will stop dead in her tracks and say, wow, he didn't call me a bitch. He didn't call me names. He didn't tell me I was stupid. He called me out for the disrespect. And he's saying that we both have respect for each other in this house, and that's how it's going to be. And I honestly, men are quaking in their boots because of the last decade of female empowerment. They think they can't stand up and tell a woman what it is. But honestly, from my experience, women really appreciate it when a man stands up and says what it is, because it adds clarity. But the next part, the follow-up to it, is not to get mad and not to get pissed at the woman, because the woman's complaining and she wants That's her. When a woman is complaining and being passive aggressive, she wants something. She doesn't want to be like that. She wants an issue addressed. So if she says, if she's complaining about one thing, complaining about this, that, the other thing, it might not be the thing that she's talking about, that she's making reference to. That's why you say, hey, honey, I don't like to be treated that way, and this is not the tone of our relationship. But let's put that aside for 1 minute and come over here. Let's talk on the couch, and let's work through this together. What's bothering you? Have I hurt you in some way, or is there something that's going on in your life that is just you feel like the weight of the world's on your shoulders? Can I help you in some way? Women really appreciate that. You sit down, you talk with her, and it honestly doesn't take that much time. And the better that you are, the more you practice this in a relationship, the faster you can kind of get there. So I'd say some people are just unreasonable, and you can't, if they're a narcissist, good luck. Basically the solution there is to divorce the person, never look back. But if you give your partner the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, again, it comes from a place of, I care about this person and I want to make this right. I want to get my wife safe, emotionally safe. She's upset about something. Well, let's get there. Let's get to the bottom of it. That's where men need to lead in a relationship. And when you do, the woman, massive change of heart. You see it on her body, you see it on her face, and all of a sudden she says, you know what? You kind of dig into it. You figure out what the emotions are. Okay, she's upset about this, that, the other thing. Maybe she's exaggerating stuff. And the trick is not to argue with her or tell her she's wrong, because if you tell her she's wrong, you're telling her emotions are wrong. And women, at that point, you're not validating her emotions. So with women, you always got to be validating their emotions 100% of the time. You never tell a woman that her emotions are wrong, because effectively what that'll do is she will shut down and she will resent you and she'll mask it, and you won't know that she's doing it, but she will be doing it. So what you got to do is, again, all you have to do is very simple. You just legitimately care about her. You say, she is experiencing anxiety, frustration. I don't know what caused it, but we're going to get to the bottom of it as a team. She was rude to me. Yeah, I'm going to put that aside because I'm strong, because I'm a man. And I'm not going to take disrespect, but I'm also going to brush aside little pettiness, because I understand that just sometimes the woman in my life gets a little bit, she is frustrated, and it boils over, and she might make a comment here or there. But I'm going to keep that in check. I'm not going to let her say whatever she wants to me. I'm not going to let her damage the relationship. And I'm certainly not going to damage the relationship by reciprocating and matching any sort of insults or whatever. But then you sit down, you talk about all of the moods, and you navigate it. And ultimately, you might start up here and you might end over here. And you realize, the thing that she's complaining about had nothing to do with what we're talking about. And it's actually a circuit to try to figure out, okay, it's like debugging something. Men are very good at debugging shit. Men are very good at fixing cars. Men are very good at programming computers. I'm not to say that women are incapable or anything like that. I'm just trying to give men some encouragement about what men are typically good at. Men are good at diagnosing and fixing things. So say, okay, if you can get good at helping your wife kind of diagnose what the issue is, and you can be there with her, earnestly trying to help, rather than getting defensive, then that woman will love you forever. I guarantee it, man. That woman will think, hey, this guy's really on my side and he cares about me. And so even though and then she'll turn a 180 real quick. She'll say, wow, I was kind of shitty to you earlier. I was kind of passive aggressive to you. And then she'll end up taking accountability and apologizing. And so a lot of men in a relationship, they've never seen a woman take accountability. That's a huge thing in a marriage that I hear about from men all the time. You say, oh, my wife did this and that, and she can't take accountability for anything, and so we're getting divorced. Well, if a woman takes accountability, that means that you are really doing something right. Because in my view, on a fundamental level, women want to feel loved and cared for by men. And if they don't feel loved and cared for by men, they don't feel like they owe the man anything. That's just the way of the world. And even some women will go so far as to try to destroy men who they felt have failed in their relationship to provide them with they feel entitled to love and care, and that to be treated special. That's the nature of women. A lot of people, there's a lot of social engineering going on in our society, And I think a lot of it's bullshit. I think a lot of people wish men and women would be different ways, or wish the situation was this way, and they're just not listening to, in my opinion, just basic human nature, how things are. From my 41 years of experience on this planet, I have come to firmly believe women want to be treated with care and love, properly cared for by a man. And if a man fails in that, then she typically will look elsewhere, and she won't really be that remorseful as you might think. You say, oh, you stepped out on the marriage. But what the deal is yeah, a woman feels like, well, you didn't treat me well. You didn't really care for me. So I went out and I got that care somewhere else. And they feel justified in that, and they feel like it's your fault. And so that's just kind of, again, you can either wish reality was different, or we can accept reality for what it is. Men and women are not the same. Men are not women, and women are not men. And so a big thing on my channel is I want to empower men to be manly, to be masculine, and to be men that women desire, and that can take care of a woman properly and have strong marriages. Because it's, in my experience, it's well worth it. It's very fulfilling to care and to love a woman, and to have her appreciate that, and not just be. There's so much vapidness. There's so much anti-woman content on the internet. It's insane. But so many people just think women are so terrible. But my message is, if we treat women right, we don't put them on a pedestal, and we don't give them all of our resources and just expect that's how we get love. No, we love ourselves, we respect ourselves, but we're also willing. A big part of we have a sense of responsibility to take care of the women in our lives and provide them with the emotional safety and the love and the care. So, anyways, I think I've been going in circles a little bit, so I think I'll end it there. But honestly, I really hope this has been helpful, and I really appreciate you watching. And please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.